Welcome to another episode of StuTube. It is January the 5th, and today, guys, I'm going to be digging into a bit of a potential repeating pattern on Bitcoin that could actually be aiming at targets that are higher than my already ridiculous sounding price targets for this market cycle. And I'm not saying any of this has to happen, but we don't want to rule out any possibilities, you guys. So we're just going to dig into it and look at the what ifs. So if that sounds good to you guys, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. With that, let's get it. Alright, first thing I want to point out, guys, is this is my Bitcoin weekly chart. And you know, in my previous video, I had pointed out this bit of a purple trend line extending from way down here at this peak back here, just extending past our 20K top. And right now, we are actually kind of flirting with that line. And I was pointing out that it could be a bit of resistance and that we might end up just kind of testing the bottom of it and hopefully get above and get a bit of a support flip and absolutely explode from there. We'll have to see what happens. But right now we are actually above it a little bit. There's still, well, 5 days left in this week, you guys. This week is not even half over. And if this momentum continues, you guys, look at this crazy bullish wick here. Bitcoin dumped over 20% or around 20% and is now back up about 22%, guys. And this is just in the course of about 2 days. Volatility is absolutely getting nuts here. If I just want to zoom in even a little closer, guys, I'll go to my daily chart and look at that, guys. This week, or this daily candle that just opened within the last hour, is tested it perfectly as a bit of a support flip. I don't like the way that this little cluster is forming here, but I mean, at this point, things are so extremely bullish that maybe this is just a very quick continuation pattern. Maybe we are just testing this purple line here and going to continue up. I mean, we're going to have to see what happens, guys. You know, in my previous video, I was tossing around the ideas that maybe we're going to hit closer to $45,000 to $50,000 a lot quicker than what people are thinking, based on those Fibonacci lines I pulled. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my last video. So now what I want to do, guys, is I want to hop over to my weekly logarithmic chart. You guys will recognize this from that video that's down in my description, which I'm always referring to. Hopefully you guys aren't sick of that by now. If you haven't watched it, do it, please. But in which case, you'll understand kind of what I'm getting at. And you know, in that video that I had some arrows pointed out and it was actually election dates. This one's going to be a little bit different. You know, here my vertical yellow lines are the Bitcoin halving dates. And you can see that it just kind of makes Bitcoin go in these 4-year cycles, you guys, okay? So what usually happens is we have a few years where things are kind of boring, and like even this bear market we had here, guys, when you look at it on the logarithmic scale, like right now, it just looks like a big continuation pattern to the upside, you guys. That just looks like one big bull flag, does it not? So what I want to point out, guys, is that every 4th year or so we get these crazy parabolic runs, just like back here. And now I want to point out what I'm going to refer to as my New Year's pattern, that every 4-year cycle, we kind of start it right at the new year, guys. Look at this. We have our December, January candle right over here. And what happens, guys, we break out. We get somewhere around a 2,000% pump, guys. I'm not going over this whole pattern here, just the immediate New Year's pump. You can see that we just absolutely explode. So about 2,000%, guys. Then you can see here that we have our next New Year's here. We got our December, January. Let's go from that candle. And guys, we have 2,500% of a pump there. And yes, it was obviously some heinous pullbacks on the way, but I'm talking about a total market top, guys. That is again over 2,000%. So would it be fair to think that right now we might get the same thing? Will it happen 3 times out of 3 times? We're going to have to see. I don't necessarily think we're going to quite get a $2,000 pump. I'm not trying to just totally pump your guys' tires and my own and say that we're absolutely going to go to a crazy price of, well, what would that be from the bottom of this candle? 2,000%, let's say. Yeah, 600,000. I mean, guys, I'm not going to say it's impossible. You know, there's other people calling for 1 million and stuff like that. And you know what? 600,000 absolutely could be in the realm of possibility. The thing with that is, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, and do your own research, not just with this, but with the whole channel in general. Do your own research. This is not financial advice. Always form your own opinions. But I'm pretty sure if Bitcoin passes $600,000 per coin, it actually flips gold's market cap. And although I do strongly believe that eventually it will, because we are in a digital age and this is quite the breakthrough and all that sort of stuff, guys, I am very bullish on the fundamentals with Bitcoin and all that. Uh, is it ready to flip gold? I don't know. But the fact is that Bitcoin has momentum. It, in my opinion, has more use case scenarios. You got the big players getting in now. I mean, it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, till it does flip gold, but I don't know if this market cycle it's going to be ready. But anything is possible, and that's just what I really want to bring to your guys' attention is back at the start of all these parabolas, people weren't thinking that it was going to pump from $1,000 to $20,000, guys, or let's say $13 to $1,100 or $1,200, guys. Like nobody was thinking those prices. Just like right now, when I say that $300,000 or $600,000 target is a possibility, it sounds ridiculous, but it very well could be a thing. And don't forget that not only is Bitcoin gaining value, but you got to think that the US dollar, the amount that's getting printed and that sort of stuff, like the central banks, not just the United States, but everywhere, central banks and governments just printing out money due to the coronavirus or whatever, guys. But the economy is very held up by printed dollars right now, and that dollar is just weakening and weakening, and it's losing value. And if Bitcoin's gaining value at the same time, I mean, it's not all that unrealistic, in my opinion, guys, to see some of those crazy price targets. I mean, don't get me wrong, if we only make it to 100,000, I'm going to be happier than shit, because you guys take profits along the way. That's what every responsible trader and investor should do, that eventually you just have to take profits. But in my opinion, guys, if we're just to look at market tops here, going back kind of to my New Year theory, is where we top out next is, look at that. It is the end of November, start of December of the following year. And again, it's every 4 years. So November, December 2013, November, December 2017. So that being said, if I'm expecting my peak around the same time, would it not be reasonable to think that we would be peaking out once again somewhere in, let's see here, probably December. Here, let me just find it. Sorry, guys. November, end of November, start of December, somewhere in here. That's kind of what I'm aiming for as far as the timeline, guys. Here, I'll drop a vertical line here. Again, that would be somewhere in there, is basically where I am expecting this trend to top out once again as far as this 4-year cycle goes. And maybe things are going to be different this time around, just because there is such big players, and maybe we won't get that harsh 80% pullback that Bitcoin loves to do in its bear markets. Maybe it won't happen again. It wouldn't be out of its characteristics, because again, we just continuously get that 85%. I think even this one was, yeah, 80%. What do we got back here? Yep, 80%. So it wouldn't be out of character for Bitcoin to do the same. So let's just say, in theory, let's say my $600,000 target is correct on this. And then we drop our 85%, be looking at a bottom out on the next market cycle of somewhere around 80,000 or 100,000, somewhere in there. I mean, obviously, you guys, this is highly speculative, and I'm not saying trade based on this. I'm just having a little fun in the charts, just freestyling a random pattern right now. Let's look at it from a different perspective, guys. Let's consider this entire move here, all the way to the top. We're looking at closer to a 9 or a 10,000% pump on that bull market, you guys. So then if we go from the same New Year's pump here, we're only 2,500%. So let's say it's getting cut by a quarter each time. So let's say this pump is only about only 800 or 900%. We're still looking at price targets of over 200,000 US dollars, you guys. So that's if this market cycle is a quarter the size of the last one. And I know I've told you guys my opinions on that, that yes, it does take a shitload more money to move the market because the market cap is so much higher. But you guys got to consider something. What drove the price to $20,000? I know I've gone over this before, that it was retail traders, you guys. But even that being said, we never had access to leverage there. So even now, let's pretend the big guys still aren't in the game. Let's say it's the exact same players just FOMOing back into Bitcoin, thinking it's the great thing. They're going to buy their Lambos because they missed out last time. So let's just say the same thing happens. And the same people get involved with the market, but they now have access to leverage, you guys. A lot of exchanges out there are offering up to 100 times leverage, and I'm not saying the same people are all going to go in at 100 times leverage or anything like that, but I'm saying that there is the option. A lot of people using 5, 10, 20 times leverage, you guys. So to see the price pump another 5 or 10 times higher than this top back here, in my opinion, like, depending how the FOMO and the emotions go, but the possibility is there through leverage alone that we could be reaching those $100,000, $200,000 price targets or even higher just off that, guys. And then we add these big players into the game, which, don't get me wrong, these big players aren't really playing with the leverage. They're looking more as a long-term hold because they can't really trade that massive amount of money anyways because of the liquidity and that sort of stuff. Especially with the supply shock going on, it would just be suicide for them. But that just, you guys, all I'm getting at is there is so much more money available to this space, whether or not the big players are involved right now. And we obviously know that a lot of them are. But again, retail traders alone have the opportunity to push this market way higher than last time just because of leverage. I mean, guys, just look at this. It's literally just the psychology of a market cycle cheat sheet. Margin wasn't a thing last market cycle, but look, on the way up, look, that's just a very classic sign that it's the thrill. I will buy more on margin. That's leverage trading, you guys. So that's just a part of the euphoria in this market cycle that eventually people are going to be way over leveraging themselves, whether they should be or not. Obviously, they shouldn't be, but it's going to be a thing, whether I like it or not. I mean, there's people who are going to get absolutely destroyed on leverage, and they might do very well on the way up, but if they don't have a plan and stop losses and they're over leveraging and that sort of stuff, they are just going to get wrecked, you guys. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. That's just a part of a typical market cycle. I mean, you hear about people way back here who were remortgaging their houses and taking on a bunch of debt and going all into Bitcoin, and then they lost 85%, you guys. So just absolutely wrecked, and I expect nothing different to play out this market cycle. Of course, we'll have to see how that happens, and of course, none of this is financial advice. If you appreciate this content, you guys, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Tell a friend if you find this educational at all. I know this video is a little bit different and a lot of it is kind of far-fetched, guys, but it is just, at this point, possibilities. I'm just totally freestyling, spitballing some ideas back and forth and that sort of stuff. I'll take a very brief look at a smaller time frame, jump into my 15-minute chart here, you guys. You guys remember yesterday I had pointed out that if we drop this purple line of support that I was going to exit my position, and I absolutely did get stopped out there. However, I did notice a double bottom on the RSI, and then I did notice this bit of a triangle pattern. We have our starting touch point, second touch point, third touch point, followed by a close above, and actually respecting it, getting this perfect resist to support flip along the line that I had mapped out. So you can see that I took a position there. I did take about half my profits up around 34,000. Just, I don't know, just, well, for one, I want to take some profits, guys. And for another thing is I just kind of have a feeling we're in this sort of a top, just like yesterday. So even though I think it'll be short-lived, just how I'm trading and on leverage and stuff, guys, I wanted to lock in a little bit of profits. but I do have the rest of my position still open, and I'll be stopped out at break even if things reverse on me here, which honestly wouldn't be too shocked. And then, if anything, I'll just have to look for a new entry, guys. I do expect the RSI to cool off fairly fast if it happens. The momentum indicator is actually kind of finding support right now. We'll have to see if that holds or not. But let's say we get another dip into oversold with a bullish pivot point in oversold conditions. And I'll just kind of look to enter the next position, guys. Maybe I'll get some sort of a falling wedge with 3 touch points. Maybe we'll get some sort of a double bottom bullish divergence on the RSI with some sort of a double bottom along a previous trend line. Again, just totally freestyling, guys, and just kind of some things to watch for in the charts. I'm not saying to trade based off any of this, just kind of some things that I'm looking for right now to potentially either add to my position or get into a new one if I do get stopped out. But yeah, like I said, I've locked in some profits once again. Just the risk is off the table now. Maybe I won't get as much profits as I'm hoping for, but if we do break to the upside, it'll absolutely happen, and my phone will tell me when my alerts start going off. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Anyways, guys, one more time, if you appreciate this content, give me that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. With that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.